let's get into the next topic, which is the Twitter files, Nick. There's a couple of good nuggets of information that came out of it. But what is you kind of told me off screen, but I want people to hear it on live. Like, what is your overall sort of idea of the Twitter files and the fact that Elon is connected to it, and just the overall narrative about it from liberal point of view, conservative point of view, whatever?
It's good to have what we already know on record. That's why I said we knew Twitter suppressed the Hunter Biden story. That's giant, right? Now, as I continue to go through the rest of these Twitter files, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. A lot of this starting to seem like capitalist infighting, and I lost a lot of interest in this once Elon Musk ran when they printed the Twitter files, and they try to pretend that only right wingers was suppressed on Twitter. You literally had Elon Musk that said it was the right that was suppressed, not the left. And guys, the second he tweeted that, my interest in this story died immediately. Because that was like, I know what he's doing. Like, once again, I'm not saying some of this stuff is not good. Like him exposing Hunter Biden, good, right?
What you're saying is there's two sides that's terrible, and exposing one is a good thing, but not exposing all is less.
It comes clear short. He's not by the challenge empire. Like you're not gonna call out the anti-war people that were suppressed. Earlier in the stream, I gave you guys a long list. Nicaragua accounts was banned for debunking CIA talking points that was saying that their election was fraudulent. You had Africans in part of the No War movement that was debunking U.S. intervention and talking points about Somalia that was banned. But Elon want to pretend that there's no suppression of left voices. Guys, I can tell you a personal story. This is why I'm also salty. Because personal, I'll tell you guys this before. I used to get 30 million Twitter impressions, not likes, not it's like literally this is how many people see your tweets every month. That number was 30 million during 2020. This is right after I left the Bernie campaign. This is when I was advocating for voting for third party, and this is when my Twitter account blew up. I went from like 15,000 followers, and then I went all the way up to like 40,000 in literally 1 year. In that year, I was getting 30 million Twitter impressions every month. I went from that to now. I got 80,000 followers, way more than I did have back then. Now I get 5 million. Literally, that number was cut by a 6. Not even half, a 6. There are people that say they don't see my tweets anymore. And I don't even cry about it. You guys don't see me cry about that much because it's only Twitter. I'm like, whatever. It's fine. Whatever. I'm not bitching about it. But for you guys to take the obvious fact that left-wing accounts is not being suppressed, and you guys come out and it's not like it was like subtle. Right? It's not like they didn't make it implicit. Elon Musk specifically came out and said there's only right-wing accounts that was censored. After that, I'm like, okay, this is not going to be an expose of the ruling class. It's not going to be anything that challenges capital. It's going to be Elon releasing stuff that benefits the red-blue game, and particularly the right. That's why he came out with the Hunter Biden files. Now he come out with Trump being banned on Twitter, which is great to see. I have nuance in all my arguments. It's great to see these people exposed, but I know real power is not going to be challenged, right? So now they're talking about Trump being banned from Twitter. Why? Because there's a faction of capitalism that did not like that. There was a faction of capitalism that was upset that the Hunter Biden story was censored. But are they going to release anything but the censorship of socialists? How Twitter literally collusion with the Pentagon to suppress stories about Ukraine? Nah, not at all. So after the first 3 drops, I'm like, So let's see. I read literally the first 2 tweets. I'll let you break it down, CJ. I do think this.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, what the liberals are doing, and I would group in the pseudo left, the Sam Cedars. Now they're trying to act like this is a nothing burger from their point of view. Now, in the new duopoly narrative, this is not a nothing burger in a duopoly.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a nothing burger. I wouldn't call it that.
Because they're trying to act like, oh, this is nothing like, this. And I couldn't believe what I saw on the Hill this morning. I'm not even going to play it, but they had some black female pundit saying how people are. What do you mean? This is what everybody does. People care about their image, so they're reaching out to get people to help shape their image. I was like, what? This is what we're saying now. This is what we're saying. This is how you're saying this is a nothing burger. It's not a nothing burger for people to be manipulating what we see. on Twitter. I don't understand how that is not a thing that you're trying to play this down. Like, I don't understand. I don't get that from the pseudo left, from the NATO left supporters. I just don't get that. But let's read it. Let's read maybe the first 10 tweets here. Thread, Twitter files part 5, the removal of Trump from Twitter. On the morning of January 8th, President Donald Trump, with one remaining strike before being at risk of permanent suspension from Twitter, tweets twice. So on the January 8th, he tweets twice is the point here. 1/6/45, where he says, quote, the 75,000 or 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first, and make America great again will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way. And then she just has, for those that are listening, I'm just trying to describe it. Then she quotes the actual tweet where you can see Donald Trump make that tweet at 6 on January 8th. Then he makes a second tweet at 7:45. She also includes it, and this is the quote: to all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. And she shows that. Now, for years, Twitter has resisted calls, both internal and external, to ban Trump on the grounds that blocking a world leader from the platform or removing their controversial tweets would hide important information that people should be able to see and debate. Quote, and then I'm going to skip this. She just goes through a Twitter official policy quote there. Let's move forward. Now, but on January 6th, as Matt Taibbi and who is this person here? Michael Schellenberger have documented, pressure grew both inside and outside of Twitter to ban Trump. 7. There were dissenters inside Twitter. And here's an example. Quote, maybe because I am from China, end quote, said one employee on January 7th. Quote, I deeply understand how censorship can destroy the public conversation. And this is just an example. They're doing this. She's showing the actual receipt.
Because it showed that Twitter wasn't on board with this. That's super interesting.
No.
Go ahead, CJ.
No. And it gets more interesting. So let's go to the next one. Thread number 8 in the thread. But voices like the one appear to have been a distinct minority within the company. Across Slack channels, many Twitter employees were upset that Trump hadn't been banned earlier. After number 9, after January 6th, Twitter employees organized to demand their employer ban Trump. Quote, there is a lot of employee active advocacy happening, end quote, one Twitter employee said. And here is the receipt there. Now, number 10, quote, we have to do the right thing and ban this account, said one staffer. It's pretty obvious. It's, and then quote, pretty obvious he's going to try to thread the needle of incitement without violating the rules, end quote, said another. And they give the example. Number 11, in the early afternoon of January 8th, the Washington Post published an open letter signed by over 300 Twitter employees to ask Jack Dorsey, demanding Trump's ban. Quote, we must examine Twitter's complicity in what President-elect Biden has rightly determined or termed insurrection, end quote. 12, but the Twitter staff assigned to this is where it gets interesting, Nick. But the Twitter staff assigned to evaluate tweets quickly concluded that Trump had not violated Twitter's policies. Quote, I think we'd have a hard time saying this is incitement.
Wow.
See, no, I didn't see that one staffer.
Wow.
It gets more quotes of this, just like this.
Go ahead.
13. You tell me when you want to comment. Just chime in. I can't see you right now. So
yeah, feel free.
Quote, it's pretty clear he's saying the American patriots are the ones who voted for him and not the terrorists. We can call them that, right? from Wednesday. Now, let me say this quote again because I did kind of jumble it. This is a quote from another person, Twitter employee. Quote, it's pretty clear he's saying the American patriots are the ones who voted for him and not the terrorists. We can call them that, right? From Wednesday. That's end quote. And that's one of the, so that's clearly the person is saying, he is clearly saying, he's pretty clear he's talking about something else. That's them saying this, Nick. 14.
It's crazy.
Go ahead if you wanted to chime in.
Now, I'm literally, I told you, I only saw like the first 3 tweets while it was posted. So a lot of these, definitely past 10 is new to me. So I'm just kind of watching this part. It's crazy.
All right. So another Stafford agreed. This is a quote. Don't see the incitement angle here, end quote. And then there's they're just showing the receipts for these Slack conversations. There's another quote. Wow, she's really bringing the quotes here with employees saying this is not it. So here's another one. Quote, I also am not seeing clear or coded incitement. So this person, let me just stop here. This person is saying, I don't see it clearly, and I don't even see it indirectly. I don't see it coded messages at all. Quote, I am also not seeing clear or coded incitement in the Donald J. Trump tweet. End quote, wrote, and they call out the person's name. Annika Navarrete. I'm saying that wrong. So
some Italian name, it seems.
Yeah, a Twitter policy official. Here's another quote. Quote, I'll respond in the election channel and say that our team has assessed and found no violations, end quote, or violations for the the Donald J. Trump one, end quote.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this just real quick to my point of them not releasing information about suppression of left voices. Do you guys really think that Bari Weiss, a fucking Zionist,
right,
that Elon Musk didn't choose her for a reason?
Right.
Of course, Bari Weiss is not going to release information about Palestinian accounts being suppressed, which they have been. Bari Weiss is an imperialist and she is Zionist. So there's a reason why Elon gave this info to her. By the way, go ahead.
Great point. Let's continue with a couple more. Now let me see where I got to maybe 20. So if there's another bombshell in this after that, go read it yourself. But let's read a little more. She does just that. Now, for context, let me make sure you know what the other tweet said. But actually, no, let me go back because that's just a quote. She does just that. Quote, as an FYI, safety has assessed. When she says she does just that, she goes and tells them what they assessed, right? So, as an FYI, safety has assessed the Donald J. Trump tweet above and determined that there is no violation of our policies at this time, end quote. 17. Later, the same person would testify to the House January 6th committee, quote, for months I had been begging and anticipating and attempting to raise the reality that if we had made no interventions into what I saw occurring, people were going to die, end quote. This is the same person, Nick. Maybe I didn't get to this because I don't remember this. This is the same person. The same person says, as an FYI, safety has assessed the Donald Trump tweet above and determined that there is no violation of our policies at this time. I can't believe. Wow. So let's continue. 18. Next, Twitter's safety team decides that Trump's 744 Eastern tweet is also not a violation. So all of what we said was the first tweet, the 6, I can forget it with the time, but it was like in the 6 a.m. hour. Now we're in the 7 a.m. hour. They're saying that also did not violate. They are unequivocal. Quote, it's clear, no violation. It's just to say he's not attending the inauguration, end quote. 19. To understand Twitter's decision to ban Trump, we must consider how Twitter deals with other heads of state and political leaders, including in Iran, Nigeria, and Ethiopia. Yeah, I haven't read. I must have got to number 16. Not here. 20. In June 2018, Iran's Ayatollah Allah Khamenei tweeted, "Israel is a malignant, cancerous tumor in the West West Asia region that has to be removed and eradicated. It is possible, and it will happen."
Wait, let me read this part. Israel, what?
Yeah, so she's pointing out something that was said against Israel. So of course she's making this point.
I had to make sure I read that again. Wait, so
she's shield for Israel.
She's mad that the tweet wasn't deleted about Israel.
Exactly.
Okay, I thought I read it the other way. I'm like, wait, what?
So this is why to me, this is why to me, Nick, like maybe it was a strategic decision for him for whatever reason to pick this person. But this is the reason why this makes your argument that this is. It damages your argument by you because this is not a good person to be delivered the message.
Yeah,
Matt Taibbi, I guess he can be considered sort of like, you know,
he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. But this is why you should not have picked this person to be this.
She's mad. Hold on.
She's essentially defending Israel. She's essentially defending apartheid, the genocidal state. Excuse me, not apartheid state. Genocidal state of Israel. In her case, to prove this point is what she's doing, Nick.
Yeah, so she's saying, she brought up that. Of course, she brings up that. I just told you guys. Look, reading it myself again. Like, of course, she brings up examples of hypocrisy, and look at the examples she brought up. Iran calling out Israel. Even now, you gotta know Israel have openly wanted to go to war with Iran. The new government even said that they wanted to go to war with Iran, even if they don't have United States support. So now she's like, oh my God, why you guys didn't ban the Iran account for calling out Israeli insane war crimes? Like, this is wild, man. Go ahead, CJ. This is exactly why they gave it to her. This is exactly why they gave it to her. Holy shit.
I like the comment. Taibbi is okay, but Bari Weiss is pure awful. Go ahead.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe 20. Like, I literally read it again. I was getting ready for my next statement. I heard you say, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But anyway, go ahead.
So let me just reread it because I did jumble it. In June 2018, Iran's Ayatollah tweeted, and this is the tweet, quote, "Israel is a malignant, cancerous tumor in the West Asian region that has to be removed and eradicated. It is possible and it will happen." Twitter neither deleted the tweet nor banned the Ayatollah. Now, if I were unbiased, and I'm not saying Israel, Palestine, let's just take them out. Just going off factually with the person, take Israel out. Let's say this said, our stance against Biden is the same stance we've always taken. Biden is a malignant cancerous. You know what I'm saying? Like, just take that out. Would you consider this something as inflammatory that Barry is trying to point out?
Barry's trying to paint this as like some sort of like the only thing that makes sense, because she always does this, she's trying to paint this as some sort of anti-Semitic. She's like, well, if you're gonna ban Trump for harassment, you gotta ban this person for harassing hatred for Jews. Because that is what Zionists always do. They make the Zionist issue, they make the Israel-Palestine issue about religion, even though they had nothing to do with it. It's a settler colonial issue. And I'm sure, I'm just speculating here, that's sure why Barry Weiss is upset. She like, her mindset is, if you're going to ban Trump for sign harassment, you should ban anyone who criticizes Israel. Because they view criticism of Israel as being criticism of Jewish people.
Now, here she does it again. It's so clear what she's doing here, Nick. Look what she does here. In October 2020, the former Malaysian prime minister said it was, quote, a right for Muslims to kill millions of French people. Twitter deleted his tweet for glorifying violence, but remains on the platform. So I get the example here. The tweet below was taken from the Wayback Machine. And this is the tweet. They proved the tweet. Like, he tweeted it, or this person tweeted it, and they took the tweet down but left the person up. That's the point that this person is making. And then they go into another one with this one here. I don't even want to say this name wrong, but the president of Nigeria incited violence against pro-Biafra groups. Do you know this group, Nick, by chance?
Not too familiar.
Okay. Quote, those of us in the field for 30 months who went through war, he wrote, we'll treat them in the language they understand. Twitter deleted the tweet, but didn't ban the president of Nigeria.
I see what she giving an example. She's like, all right, if you're gonna ban Donald Trump for inciting violence, you gotta ban these leaders for inciting violence.
Like she's pointing out heads of states that incited violence where they took down their tweet, they didn't ban them. I think that's the point she's trying to make, is that all you did with these other heads of states is just take down their tweet. You didn't ban them. I think that's the point that she's trying to make here.
That's a pretty good point. Like in terms of like arguing against Trump's Twitter ban, that's a pretty devastating fact, because you have Twitter that allows Democrat Party politicians to openly call for the death of Russians. Openly, right. They literally
that's acceptable now. Yeah.
Now I literally see like giant blue check accounts, and you guys probably know my favorite psychopath is like Michael something, where they say Russians are violent scum. We need Ukrainians to kill as many Russians as possible. Twitter never does anything about those tweets, so I think that is a good point. But go ahead, CJ.
Absolutely. Let's close it down because I got two. You have another segment, right, or no?
Yeah, I have some very short stories. I'm gonna save.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like we can do let's do some 5, 6, 8 minute stories. Just to
I have
maybe two or three of those.
Really quick stories that not gonna.
Yeah, let's
and
do
then
those.
I was going to do the Peru story, but I'm gonna cover that. We're gonna cover that.
Let's do it with Wyatt, because you know what? Because I don't want to half cover it because. I don't want to have cover it without, because we want to be able to cover the backstory to how we're getting to the general strike in Peru, and we want to be able to cover what's happening, because literally, Nick, all the only sources for a while that we had about what was happening in Peru was all corporate, and not to believe that what Absolutely. They're telling you, like so it's like, man, they're telling me, and I'm watching it because I still want to know. Like they're still arresting them. I want to see the footage, but what they're saying is like, man, I don't want to retain what they're saying because I know it's lies. Like the fact that they're not saying that is U.S. backed, cool, like that fact. But let's continue. This is number 25. So, but Twitter executives did ban Trump, even though key staffers said that Trump had not incited violence, not even in a coded way. 26 in the thread, that is, for those listening. Less than 90 minutes after Twitter employees had determined that Trump's Twitter tweets were not in violation of Twitter policy, Twitter's head of legal policy and trust asked whether it could in fact be coded incitement to further violence. And that's the example. Or I'm sorry, the receipt. 27. A few minutes later, Twitter employees on the quote scale enforcement team suggested that Trump's tweet may have violated Twitter's glorification of violence policy if you interpreted the phrase American patriots to refer to the rioters. So they were talking. So what this points out, Nick, and why to me this is not a nothing burger, but to your point, you can have a nuanced opinion that they don't go farther enough to say that the suppression of the left voices, of the anti-war voices, of the anti-Ukraine war, proxy war, that type of thing, right?
You guys got to think about. Sorry, CJ. I was about to say, you guys got to think about what they're not telling you. I am not in the nothing burger camp. I think the Trump leaks, I think the Hunter Biden leaks are very important. But when you have them not telling you about what Twitter did to Nicaraguan accounts, right? That's when, like, all right, why are you leaving that out? That's right. Like, lying by omission is a thing. And that's why I'm looking at this story side eye. Like, you guys are admitting things that Elon Musk and other right wingers don't want to get out there. So it's not absolutely not nothing burger. We just got to keep that lie by omission in mind when we watching this story. But CJ, I'll pass.
Yeah, no, we're gonna bring this to an end, but it goes into it. So go read this, but it goes into how they changed their minds very quickly after the decision was made. So somebody told them that, hey, no, we don't know, this did violate it, and now you see the narrative. But this is why I did a stream, Nick, and I can take this down. I did a stream, and it was called "The Assault on Elon Musk, and this is what I was getting at. This is what I was getting at. It was like, it's the reason. And at the time, this is before the Twitter files came out. I was like, there's a reason. There's this uproar. Why Elon is staying in the narrative, like in the news cycle. Why is that? Why is everybody piling on him? Why is corporate media doing it? It didn't make sense. Now it does, because they had, you know what I mean? They knew this shit was coming. They knew this shit was coming, and it does not put them in a good light as being fair, as being democratic, as being even-handed.
And we are leftists
as being scum, just like them. Go ahead.
And to your point, we are leftists who was against Trump being banned on Twitter. That's why this is like
tweeted about it too. Yeah.
Now, if you're a liberal, or if you're part of NATO left, the pro-censorship left that would cheering for Trump to be banned, this particular story is devastating to you. Like, this should be that's why now like really super bombshell to me, because we've been making these arguments for quite some time.
Right.
But if you are like, yeah, Trump should be banned from Twitter, but you see this thread, you gotta do some reevaluation. Either you gotta ignore it, or you gotta acknowledge that, yo, this is shit that you gotta reevaluate. So I think that's why another reason why I had that reaction, because it's not like shocking to me. But if you're a liberal, you need to read that damn thread.